play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
all in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Raw Knuckles. Hosted by Chris Nilan.
Nilan going ballistic. I love it. He's going to hit his own players. He's a madman. He's a freaking madman. Look at him going to town. That'll be a suspension. That'll be a fine. Bring them all out, Nilan, you freak.
It's gonna be sick.
Yeah, it's going to be sick. Welcome into Real Talk with Knuckles here on the Raw Knuckles podcast. And sick? It was sick last night what happened to the Habs after jumping out to a 3-goal lead in the first period. God, they could have been up 5-0, 6-0 after one period. They played an incredible first period. And then the punches started coming. I look at that game last night, and again, the Habs have been unbelievable, okay? The best team in the league the last month. I get all that, and that's great. I think these guys got a lot of confidence from the way they played. And, when you start playing the game better defensively, you start creating more for yourself opportunity-wise as a team. And they did that. And they seemed a little bit of a kind of wide open in the first. I mean, the Habs really, really pushed the pace. Listen, that building, I was there last night. And I got to tell you, when a goal is scored by the Canadiens, it is so loud. Now, that first goal got scored, right? And just incredible, the noise in that building, okay? When you don't think it can get any louder, they get the second goal. And I'm like, boom. I'm like, just that building is like, I had chills. I had chills. And then the third goal, I'm like, I was visiting a few boxes up in the suites and talking with people and, signing autographs, taking pictures and watching a game and talking with everybody. And it's incredible when you go from what it was here in the beginning of the season, this team struggling, everybody was questioning the coach and management and what's going on. And they start winning some hockey games and what it does to the people here. It's incredible. Just the positivity. Last night, again, this is going to be a big learning experience for this team. That game last night, not big, but it's going to be a learning experience. You got to listen. They played some really good games in these tight games in this last month, and they've been defended really well. Last night, honestly, when you look at the penalty situation, that's what hurt them, right? It hurt them. 3 holding penalties, holding, and they get back in the game. You look at Dvorak hitting the crossbar. They come, McCann comes right back down and scores, right? Boom. Leafs get some life. And I'll say this. Okay, Habs come out and have that first period. Don't you think Craig Berube, between periods? Now, this kid, he's an emotional kid, right? Emotional guy as a coach. I know that. He played the game. He played the game with intensity, passion, and he went in there and challenged these guys. Here we are getting embarrassed, playing. Here we are Saturday night hockey day in Canada, and we're going to get embarrassed by this team? Are you kidding me? So he goes in there, has a few words to say. That team come out and played unbelievable. I'm telling you, they had no answer for that Nylander. Nylander, that kid wheeled around last night, had that puck. He's a player, and certainly you got to give the Leafs credit. And Wall, when it was 3-0, he could have fell on his face and would have been 5-0 over. No, he hung in there and kept going. Now, this is one game. They have an opportunity to bounce back today. That's a big thing, today, what they're going to do against the Rangers tonight. What I will say, one of the things I didn't care for, and you know I love this guy, Arber Xhekaj. I'll just say, years ago, when Knuckles played this game, up 3-0, I get challenged. I'm fighting him. It happens, okay? The game has changed somewhat that way. What I didn't like when he didn't fight him, and I love that he hit him later in the game. He hit him with an awesome check, knocked him on his ass. What I didn't like is when you're up 3-0 in the first period, you get challenged to fight. Okay, if you're not going to fight, fine. But when you point at the scoreboard and you go like that, it adds fuel to the fire of that other team. It does. I don't care what anybody says. It does. That pisses guys off. And that other team was like, now we're really being embarrassed. See you later. Get away from me. So that can come back and haunt you. And I'm not going to say that that's the only reason they lost. No, it isn't. But that is, that's not. I would rather seen Arber drop his gloves and punch the shit out of him. but that didn't happen. Or give him a good fight, didn't happen. And when you think, okay, if he fought him, do they get 5-5 and go to the box? Probably. Even if you get the extra 2, I'd rather take an extra 2 doing that than holding. Now, the game has changed that way. And listen, you got to give the Leafs credit. They're on top for a reason. They got a really good hockey team. They got a lot of talent. This is a different team under Berube than it is it was under Sheldon Keefe. There's no question about it. This team, it seems like they respond to this coach. And listen, the parity in the league now is incredible. Any team can beat anybody on any given night. But God, what an opportunity last night for the Habs to play with that 3-0 lead, and then certainly let it slip away. I think back to that loss at Pittsburgh 9-2. This was a whooping. They scored 7 straight goals, but it wasn't like that. They didn't quit. They kept playing. That Pittsburgh game, they laid down their arms. They didn't last night. Certainly things didn't go their way. And 2 power play goals. They got 2 short-handed goals. Come on. You can't give that up and expect to win hockey games. So tonight's a bounce-back night for them against the Rangers. And today, I happen to have a guest who's my best friend in the world. We played together in Boston. We grew up in Boston. Not together. We didn't grow up. We met a little bit later in life. Jimmy's a little younger than me, but he's a scout for. We played in Boston together. He also played for St. Louis. Was a pure goal scorer and could fight. Better fighter on the street, I think, than on the ice. But now Jimmy is a scout, amateur scout for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I'm going to bring my best friend Jim Vesey in right now. Jimmy, boy, there you are. How are you, buddy? Listen, so welcome to the show. I appreciate you taking the time on a Sunday morning for me. I know you've been working a lot out, scouting in rinks all the time. How's the job going?
It's going really well. I'm with Chris Bork, who does the free agency, head of free agency for Toronto, college free agent. So I work with him, under him, and I also do draft eligible prep school around here. So under the leadership of Brad Trelevin and Derek Clancy, and we hired Mark Leach as director of amateur scouting. It's been really good. We got a nice group, Chris. You would talk about Chief. I feel the same way about the scouting staff. Like everybody's on the same page.
Well, it's funny you bring up his name, Derek Clancy. Derek Clancy was, when I was coaching the East Coast Hockey League, he was one of the best players in the league, center iceman, talented kid, and he was my player assistant. So he really helped me down there in my early coaching days as a head coach. And Clance was an incredible player. And it's funny, like he always wanted to get that next. Clance was a smaller guy, right? And he just never, he wanted to get that chance to get to the American League. And he would get up a few times and then end up back in the coast. Really talented kid. Always was driven to get to the NHL. And that he did. He eventually did. Now, Clance got into scouting, got a scouting job, right? He ended up in Pittsburgh, and he worked his way up. He's a smart hockey man. He went from Pittsburgh, right, out to Vancouver with Jim Rutherford, right? Did really well, and then he ends up getting an assistant GM job in Toronto with Brad Trelevin. Smart hockey man, Derek Clancy. Great head for the game, good eye for talent. I certainly have a lot of good things to say about him. I love Derek Clancy. Good man.
Like you say, he played in the coast. He knows what it is to be there and trying to get up there all the time. And I've been in that same spot, putting up points, and sometimes you go up, you get sent down. Besides that, he got into hockey. He worked his way up. learned under Jimmy Rutherford, won 2 cups in Pittsburgh, and Jimmy Rutherford took him over to Vancouver, and then Brad Treliving brought him into Toronto. So we're very fortunate to have him, and I told him he better get us a ring here in Toronto before he takes off and gets a general manager job somewhere else.
Uh-oh. Well, we'll see about that if the Habs have anything to say about that. But listen, you know, I look at this team and I really with Chief behind the bench now, it's a different team, I think, than it was with Sheldon Keefe behind that bench. Listen, they had great regular seasons. I get that. But come playoff time, that's really where the rubber meets the road. And I think with Chief in it, I saw it last night. You know, they had a tough first period. And I know he didn't go in the room and say, hey, guys, let's get going here. You know, I'm sure he'd give him a little boot in the ass and tell him, you know, listen, you're getting embarrassed here. Let's go. And, boy, they come on, and they come on strong. Habs, again, they got into penalty trouble. They have 3 holding penalties there. You end up scoring 2 power play goals, the Leafs, and they end up with 2 shorties, too. And that can't happen if you want to win hockey games. But credit to the Leafs last night. They bounced back big time.
I was out working at Boston University last night, so I didn't get to see the game live, but I checked it out and read up on it. But talking about Chief, I'm not in that dressing room, but he brings the respect as a former player, his resume as a coach, and as you know, off the ice, a real better man than anything. A real good man.
Yeah.
We're fortunate to have him, and you can just feel the different vibe with the Toronto Maple Leafs when you watch them.
Yeah, they certainly seem a bit more invested. Austin Matthews last night scored an awesome goal, and when he scored that one timer last night, I talk about you could see just how, I mean, the emotion in that game. It was awesome. You know, there was an incident with Reaves and Xhekaj, and I mentioned it in my opening. You know, it's 3-0. Reaves challenged Arber, and Arber pointed at the clock, and then he went like that, "Get away from me." And, you know, I come out and say, back in my day, I would have fought him. 3-0, I don't care. I'm going to fight you anyway. And I know times have changed, but when you do that kind of stuff, it can haunt you. And I think it come back to, I'm not saying that's the only reason, but that pisses guys off, you know, on the bench and in the room. And you know they talk about it.
Of course. I mean, the game has changed, as we all know, but there's still a part of intimidation in the game.
Yeah.
You know, and you go into a tough environment like Montreal, or coming to the Boston Gardens, or anywhere you go. It's nice to have a guy on your bench, so guys that can play. The Austin Matthews, as great as player he is, Nylander, Marner, knowing you have those guys, when you look around, say, okay, we're going to battle. It's nice to look down the bench and have guys with you, whatever team you're on. You know that feeling.
Yeah. That, I tell you, Nylander last night, the skating, the control of the puck, hanging on to the puck, man, he really, when he applies himself, when he's assertive, he's hard to stop. I mean, he wheels out there, and
one of the best skaters in the league. People don't really like that. I mean, I seen him a game where
with the puck, it's unbelievable.
We were out in meetings in Toronto. I think it was last week. They were playing Carolina. First period, it was 2-0. Nylander had 3 breakaways. Some guys don't go through a career in the NHL hockey league getting 1 break. That tells you how good a skater that he can blow and just fly. It's amazing.
Yeah. Jim, looking at the league and the parroting league, it's crazy. Like, you know, going for the last 2 spots here in the East, right? There's 8 teams out of the playoffs. 6 of them have a legit shot at jumping up into that playoff spot. It's crazy. The spread is like, it's crazy right now. Right, you got Toronto up top, right? Toronto, Florida, Tampa. Then you got Washington, Jersey, Carolina. You got Columbus and Ottawa as the 2 wild cards, right? Then you have Boston, and Ottawa has 50 points, Boston 50, Montreal 48, Philly 48. Rangers 47, Wings 46, and the Pens 46. I mean, they're legit Like, it's unbelievable. You cannot afford to, drop a game, drop 2 games, drop 3 games, and you're scratching and clawing again. The parody's ridiculous.
It really is. And those teams you just mentioned that are fighting for those spots, every game is important now. The swings, and you're not just jumping one team when you lose a game. You got to keep on going and get over teams to get in that spot. So every game's important for these guys, and you don't want to look back and say, "Oh, we lost out by 1 point or 2 points, and we didn't show up to a game." So it's almost like every game is going to be. You said last night's game was exciting. You know what I mean? Yeah. And the builder was rocking. It's good for the NHL. As much as I don't like the Habs, I like you.
Hey, what? Who's your team?
Toronto Maple Leafs.
Okay.
Toronto Maple Leafs, not the Boston Bruins, not the New York Rangers, Toronto Maple Leafs.
No, I could understand you wanting to see the Rangers win because your son Jimmy played for them, but the paycheck comes from the Leafs. You have
paycheck that they take care of me, and they take very first class organization. I'm not just saying. I'm
sure they are. Believe me. When you think of all the fan stuff that goes on and the fans giving it to each other all the time, it's funny. Yeah. But that's what what the game's all about, right? The fans having fun with it, going back and forth. I tell you, I saw a few Leaf fans last night in the building. It was so funny. I was giving it to them about their jerseys and stuff. But it was fun. It was fun stuff. It wasn't like, when you go to Boston and you wear a Habs jersey and they spit on you and slap you in the head and,
On that point, saying that, as much as I hear you ripping the Leafs on this show, and I have to take it, Jerry, you Habs and hate them. But
I'm not ripping them. I give them some credit.
Having Montreal Canadiens relevant at this time right now is the best thing for the National Hockey League. And as you know, I was in the old Forum when you played. I was in this building. The environment, the atmosphere is unbelievable. My son, Jimmy, says it's the best atmosphere in hockey, playing in Montreal. I still call it the Forum. I know it was in Molson Center.
The Bell Center. Bell Center.
But, having Montreal is relevant right now. I got to say, I guess Kent Hughes
and Gorton.
Jeff Gorton and Marty St. Louis know what the hell they're doing, I guess, huh?
Right.
They get the team playing. They take all the pressure. A lot of pressure. It's just like with Toronto, they haven't won in a long time. As you know, how big Red Sox fan I was, how many times they were coming and got knocked down and broke our heart. Soon as the Red Sox broke through, I was out there in St. Louis, 2004. Leafs are going to break through. We're coming, and we might have a couple.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. They got to get over that. Certainly, last year they win that one playoff round. And listen, Chief has the resume as a coach who took a team that was way out of it. St. Louis, they clawed their way back to get in the playoffs. How many points were they out the year they won the cup?
I forget, but that year everybody
they were like 12 points out of a playoff spot. They claw and dig their way back. We saw what they did.
Yeah.
We saw what they did. So we'll see. Again, the jury's still out on that one, and we'll see what happens in the playoffs. When you look at the Habs and what they did, when you brought up Gorton and Hughes, and they talked about doing a total rebuild here, and there was a time they come out. They said 5 years is a rebuild. 5 years. 5 years is where you get your team to hopefully where you want it, and you're going to make that push to get in the playoffs. So, the struggles this team had in the first couple of years of rebuild, going into the third, people were starting to think, okay, things are going to start to turn here. Maybe we're going to be in the mix. And then the beginning of this first quarter of the season here was just, wow, it was going the other way. They weren't playing well defensively. They were struggling. They're giving up a lot of goals, a lot of opportunities. And then eventually things started to turn. They got embarrassed a few times. And then this last month, I went from, Jimmy, going to a game or watching on TV, expecting this team to lose. Now, the last 5 weeks, when I watch them, I expect them to win. Like, I expected them to win last night, and they didn't. So, which I think a lot of the fan bases probably have the same sentiments now. They're expecting this team to win, and with those expectations comes some pressure. Now, I just hope this team is able to keep their eye on the ball and be competitive night in and night out. But they still have a ways to go. I'm not sure, and I'll say it again. I've said I didn't think they'd make the playoffs this year. Next year, the following year, they'd make it. Now, I've been quoted, and I'm fine. If they make the playoffs, I'll be happier than anybody, believe me. But I still think there's so much room for growth with this team moving forward. They have some good guys. Demidov coming in next year. Reinback is going to get healthy. They got good young players that are still going to have to make those adjustments and come into the league. So it's going to be interesting. And certainly anytime the original 6 teams are relevant and they're in the playoffs, it's a good thing. But Gordon and Hughes have done a really good job here, the both of them. I'm liking what I'm seeing.
If I could add on that, Montreal has talent. They have a lot of assets coming.
Yeah.
Eventually, they're going to do something and make a big move or something, whatever. But they have got a lot of pieces, whether they're draft picks or in the minor leagues right now. They get good players or guys playing in college. I told you before about Hutson. Not that I found it. I said this kid everywhere at level they tell him he's too small. And one of the most dynamic players I've seen playing in college hockey, right? And now look at what he's doing in Montreal. We can say, oh, these guys don't defend, but it's not the old days when we had Scott Stevens coming around to take your head off, or Bubba Bork stepping up. It's a new game. They know how to check with their stick and position, and offensively, the kid's incredible. And he's a hell of a player. You guys are lucky to have him, but the Fowler kid, I'm not a goaltender guru, but he's good.
Well, you've seen Fowler play a lot, right? Because you're always scouting, right?
Yep.
Like the real deal.
Real deal. He's as good in this league in Hockey Ace and seen him playing as Jake Ottinger was and Wall. I put him right in with Ottinger as a guy that can dominate games. Yeah, they got the big line with Leonard, but when they need saves, this kid comes up. He's never rattled. Jim McGuire is right on with him. I know he's always pumping him and Hutson.
Oh,
Pierre.
Oh, Pierre McGuire. Yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting because they just got this kid Jacob Dobes, the backup goalie, come up from the minors, and really he's made his mark here. He's won every game he's been in. It's like what a way to start your career. But again, it's a small sample size, but boy, there's a lot of positivity when you look at the size of that goaltender, what he's done. He got good rebound control. He's big. He seems like he's just so cool and not flustered. And that's certainly a tough position to break into the NHL with. But this kid has done it with relative ease. So this should be interesting here. They do have a lot of assets. They got a few guys down in the minors. Mayu. Certainly a guy that at one point I'm sure we'll see back here. They wanted to get him some playing time. They had a lot of defensemen here in the system, and things are looking up. And I hope they prove me wrong, and I hope they get in this year. But it's to get in, you're going to have to keep up a torrid pace of winning hockey games, because what we talked about, having that parity down below, and you can't afford to let 2-3 games go by where you don't win or you're in trouble. Look at how the Rangers fell. They were certainly picked this year to be right up top and be in the competition, and they've really slipped lately. But
one thing I may add, you should know about calling a goalie up as a rookie. In 1986, they called a guy that was he didn't want to ask for 30 because he was 30 because some guy knuckles worked, so he took 33. I think he turned out pretty well that year and the rest of his career.
Yeah, it's funny, right? Rookie goaltender getting that opportunity, come in, Patrick, and stole the show and wins a Stanley Cup in his first year, right? Who was the other kid in Carolina? Was it Ward? Cam Ward?
Yeah. I don't know.
Rookie,
yeah,
he come up.
Yeah, you never know.
You never know. So how about it was good to see all you guys actually at preseason, right? Clance was there, rookie camp. Brad Triveling. That's the first time I've said hi to him before. Say hey, but that's the first time I talked with him. What a hell of a guy! Good guy, really good guy.
Channing was there. Come over, say hello. Yeah. Mark Leach, Chris Bork. You know, another one of my guys.
It's Steve Leach, one of my favorite teams.
Mark Leach,
right?
I know you
Stevie
love him.
Leach, right? We had a blast.
Mark's another good guy. He's been 30 years in the league. He's got 3 Stanley Cups with the Detroit Red Wings for all the years, and the last 10 with Dallas, and we got him this year. So another guy that's good for our organization.
And it's funny, like I'm on the board with of the ranch. The ranch is the place where Mark Pavlich was, with Clint Malachuk and his brother. I didn't even know he had a brother, Clint.
Yeah.
I'm like, and then
he had a name tag on Clint. You go, that's not Clint. I go, no, it's his brother Garth. Remember?
Yeah, no, I knew it wasn't Clint. I said, but who is that? Is he related to him?
Yeah.
And it was his brother.
An old goaltender from the Western Hockey League, Garth was, and the coach and everything. What a good guy he is.
Yeah. So, how's our friend? I want to bring him up because I know you played with both these guys, Chopper, Dave Tomlinson, and Kelly Chase. Jimmy, I know you played in Peoria together with these guys. You won a championship down there with them. What's going on? How's Chaser doing?
Spoke to Chaser Saturday. He's home from the hospital. I had to keep him in there after the second bout with the cancer. His spirits are good. He's going through some pain, but he'll fight. He's too stubborn to go anywhere, I told him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we just got to pray for him, and the whole NHL is praying for him. He's just one of those guys that you call him, he'll be there for anything, help out in anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's in a hospital bed. He's worrying about helping out other stuff. That's the kind of guy he is. And Chopper, as you know, dear friend of mine, yours, is got the prostate cancer, so he's going through a little tough time. He's probably going to be mad we mentioned it, but too bad, Chop. We're all praying for you, buddy. We love you.
Yeah, that's
tough
tough stuff. I had Kelly come on a couple of times. I've had him on twice. I know he's been in that battle. I certainly know how he is. It's funny. We never fought, but because I couldn't get at him through Twister. Right?
Yeah, the race for Chase. It was a race for Chase.
The race for Chase. I love those two guys, and hopefully, again, we'll keep them in our prayers.
Yes.
So the Leafs, the Habs in it. What do you think when you look at the Calder Trophy? And again, I certainly have a bias for Hutson.
Yeah.
But this Celebrini kid, the two of them, I would have a hard time if, say, Hutson outpoints Celebrini at the end when it's all said and done. Do you think he still has a shot at winning the Calder if he outpoints a forward, a centerman? Or do you think Celebrini's a shoo-in?
At first I was saying Celebrini hands down.
Yeah.
Then I started looking and said, "Oh boy, look at this with the points, right?" And Montreal's playing relevant games right now. Not that San Jose that the team's young and they're coming up, but I'd have to say if he outpoints a forward and both rookies, how the hell can you not?
Yeah.
Two great players, but how do you overlook Hutson because he's a defenseman? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's got no points. It says a lot about Paul Chug, and they were both on the same team at BU last year. How good was that? You know what I mean?
It's unbelievable, right? And when you talk those two players, let's talk about USA Hockey, the World Junior this year, right? Do you think? And again, I heard some people talking. Has the United States taken over that number one country as far as hockey? The hockey mantle. I mean, they were in the World Junior. I mean, it's incredible, the development program, how it's really taken shape, and then the players they're spitting out, right?
You think about it, I forget how many U.S. has for gold medals. I know it's back-to-back first time, but I think they might have 6 now, okay? Yeah. That's in the last 20 years or something. Yeah. I feel the first one was my son Jimmy was on the third ever world gold medal. But I like to bust chops with my Canadian buddies. Americans are coming.
You got
bust them, right? Because I always have. But I will say, in Canada, they produce Gretzky. They produce McDavid.
Oh, yeah,
We'll get Matthews, and there's good Americans coming. So I think hockey now, Chris, used to be Massachusetts, Minnesota, Michigan. Now you're pulling guys out from anywhere in the United States. Look
Well,
at
it's-
Austin Matthews. You know what I
Right,
mean?
it's crazy, and again, I heard a good point made by Bieksa, and he said, you know what, a lot of people don't understand the states. It was Minnesota, it was New England, right, and then what happened with expansion? All these NHL teams going to places, and these guys end up living there after the career over, and they end up coaching minor hockey. Like St. Louis, it's big, right? Minor hockey, right? And now you got teams in Dallas, Florida, Phoenix, all these places are putting out these young hockey players. It's incredible. So they got so many more, I guess, people to pick from now, and hopefully that trend continues because it's certainly nice to see the U.S. finally.
What great hockey that was in Ottawa, huh?
It was incredible.
It was hockey.
Incredible hockey.
It's unbelievable. Great for the game, and I would have liked to see Canada and U.S. in that final.
For sure.
I would have loved to see that. They're just, that's just
The
it's
rivalry.
Like rivalry. But when you say that point, I always say that to myself. I won't tell the boys from Canada that they live when they retire. They stay there. They start coaching. They have their kids, the bloodlines, and they're getting good coaching. That's why you're getting these guys from Arizona, Shane Doan's kids, and all these. They're all living there. But we can't tell them that. We'll tell them on the studio, but we've got to still have some ammunition, bust jobs.
So it's gonna be interesting for sure to see how if that program keeps doing what they're doing and putting players out like that. The competition's gonna be good. The Four Nations Cup coming up, gonna be in Boston, in Montreal. What do you think? Who's got the edge?
I like the Americans, not just their goaltending. I think we got strong goaltending. But it's a short tournament like that. A goalie gets hot, anybody can win. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's a shot. It's Canada's loaded, Americans loaded. All the teams have great players, but you have to give USA and Canada 1-1A, and it comes down to a game. Goaltenders can steal it. I think the Americans have better goaltending.
How about this year? As far as the NHL, to jump off the Four Nations, and it's going to be interesting to see what the compete level is like. And I'm sure when you play for your country, I did, you did. It's there's a lot of pride involved, but being in the middle of this season, when you look at how tight everything is, and then these guys are going to go at each other. There's been some nasty games between U.S. and Canada, like nasty games, right?
Yeah.
So,
you think about you put that jersey on for whatever country you're from.
Yeah.
The pride comes right out.
Yeah.
Bragging rights.
Yeah.
You might be in a dressing room with a guy beside you. You want to say, "Hey, we won." Whatever happened. So, guys, I think it's tough, shutting down the season, but I think you're going to see good hockey. You know what I mean? I think guys are going to give it all when you're playing for your country, putting that jersey on. They'll take it serious.
Yeah.
Plus, it's a token for the Olympics for the following year. So these guys want to be on that radar and play well. You know what I mean? They want to have guys that could be on a bubble or whatever. That for the Olympics, they want to have a good showing.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens there and see who comes out on top. This hockey season, I just it's been so up and down when I look at what's going on around the league and with the Habs. It's like 1 minute everything just changed, and it's like it's so fun to watch. And I'm just hoping come playoff time, if they're in there, we get to see some really good hockey. I love the NHL playoffs. Sometimes the season can get a little long and laborious, and you get some flat games. But boy, there was some good games last night. The Bees, Ottawa, unbelievable game. Ottawa bounced back. That was they had that Kachuk on, and he said, he goes, I don't know. I've never been in a playoff game, but I think that was as close to a playoff game as you can get last night against
Here's
Boston.
Here's a kid, Brady Kachuk, you want on your team, right?
Right.
Has been in a playoff game. Get in the playoff game, you'll see that intensity even jacked up more.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah, hell of a hockey play guy, any team, 32 teams, but they might hate him, but they'll love on their team to take him all day. You know where he's from, his roots, Chris, where they lead back.
Oh, yeah. Right back to Charles. Right, they do. So you're scouting now. Like, what's your schedule like during the week? You out in the rink every day, every night?
I'm probably out there 5 days, probably 4 to 5 days a night. And usually I'm with Chris Bork, who's the head of our free agents, like I say, and I'm with him doing college free agents, or I'll do draft eligible with guys that are in college that still have eligibility, or prep school guys. You know what I mean, around this area, and so it's fun. It's hockey. It's still the game of hockey, and I like the regime we're with. It's hockey again. You know what I mean? I like hockey. Let's play some players.
Do you rely a lot on all the new stats and?
My stats are these right here. These 2 eyes.
2 eyes.
Yeah, there's one.
Right?
Hot. This, and you know what? I mean, still hockey. The game's still hockey. You know what I mean? And I'm not looking for the guy in the first round. Everybody knows that. I'm trying to find that guy that everybody's passed over and get him in the 5th, 6th round, or a free agent. That guys don't want. That's how you make the bread. You know what I mean? And I think you can use everything for information, but it's still the game of hockey. It's been played before. You, me, and it's still the same game. So who wants the puck? Who wants to put the puck in that? Who wants to pay the price? That's what I like.
So when you're, what's the first thing? I guess for the listeners, just to know, for a scout, when he goes out there, you're looking at a player. You have a certain player to look at. How do you watch him in the game? Like, what do you look for in certain? I know you said some of the qualities, but what do you really look for in him skill wise and stuff?
Well, I know it's a cliche. He has to be able to skate. You know what I mean? They have to skate. And then you're looking for his hockey sense. Yeah. His puck decision making under pressure. Yeah. His compete level. His consistency. We watch these guys over and over. We don't just come in and watch one report, say he was dynamite, let's get him, or he was terrible, write him off. We all have had bad games. So you got to stay on these guys. And that's why it's good to always be talking with other guys. And sometimes they might see him out in Minnesota, and then we have crossovers, come in and talk to each other, and then we have meetings about. But I still look for the qualities I mentioned, Chris, and it's getting to know the guy a little bit too. Like if it's a guy that's already we have drafted, we're watching too. You know what I mean? That's playing in college hockey. Get to know him. How bad does he want it? You know what I mean? Is it goes for a wall? Everybody will tell you that it goes for a wall and meeting before they draft it. But how bad do you want it? You know what I mean? And it's there for these kids, and hopefully we keep on finding guys and helped out the Toronto Maple Leafs so we can beat the Montreal Canadiens.
Hey, I couldn't imagine, like, back in our day, right, going for a draft interview with teams, right? How they bring you in. Can you imagine? I don't know if I would ever get drafted.
They would probably arrest you. You tell a story about how you get drafted. I got somebody called my mother. I said, "Mom, that's one of my friends calling, right? They got drafted on a Saturday. I didn't know the draft was going on." And I got like a telegram, like 4 days later from St. Louis. I never talked to anybody. And then the old scout Teddy Hampson showed up to St. Louis. And at the time, St. Louis had only like 3 scouts. I don't even think they knew who I was when I went to my first camp. Now they get to go out. It's good for the NHL, like the NHL drafts and all that stuff. And the guy,
it's great marketing for them, And
I look like a guy like you. What one was it? 17th?
Yeah, 19th, I guess.
19th round.
But I got you got your telegram 3 days later. I got a letter 2 weeks later inviting me to training camp.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Right?
We didn't realize we weren't first rounders.
Crazy. Listen, we have a couple questions we're going to take here, if you don't mind hanging with me till then. And I know my boy in yellow has them. We have a few questions in yellow. Can you pop that first? Chris Hansen, do you stop planting players on the bench for lazy penalties? I'll let you. What do you think of that one, Jim?
My thing is, if it becomes a habit and the same doing it over and over again, as a coach or a chief, he's going to sit a guy. But sometimes when you reach for a puck, you might trip on it accidentally. But if you keep on taking soft penalties away from the puck, you might have a little talking to by the chief.
Yeah. Well, same. I think for any players. So I look at Marty here. He's really lenient coach. He very really, you never see him lose his cool. You see him. You know what he said after one game? He wasn't mad. He wasn't angry. He was disappointed. Mm-hmm. And I think that hurt the players more than him being mad. You know what I mean? And being pissed off and yelling at everybody. He said he was disappointed.
And that hurts you when you disappoint somebody.
Yeah, right.
That bothered me if I disappoint somebody that I cared about. You know what I mean? That bothered you.
So Kirby Doc was taking a few penalties when he come back. He was struggling so bad, coming off that big knee injury. The expectations were up here, and geez, it took him time. Now he's starting to come into his own. He's played really well over the last month here. That it's given this team a little more depth scoring as far as the second line, because it was Caulfield, Suzuki, same old, and then Line comes in and lights up the power play. So it's kind of helped. But listen, what I get it. I've been sat in my ass before for that. I had to kind of pull back a little bit, taking stupid penalties, and it's different now. There is so much stick work now, trying to make plays on guys. Stuff you used to be able to get away with, you can't anymore. So
100%.
It has to get really bad before I'm going to plant someone's ass on the bench.
If I could add, I don't know Marty personally.
Yeah,
he's been through it all, from being undrafted, told he's too small. You want to talk about determination and staying with it. The players can look at him, and guys in the minor leagues that haven't been up or chomping at that bit. Look at the head coach of the Montreal Canadiens. Take a look at what he's been through to overcome the game. It wasn't a lot of small guys were the game when we played, Chris. They'd say that today there's a lot more small guys. But Marty couldn't get a contract. You know what I mean?
He's a great teacher. I think the kids really look up to him, and they appreciate how he treats them well. He's he's not like a
old
school. So all right, what do we got? Next question here in yellow. Did Jimmy see Michael Hague play?
I only on tape, so I can't really comment on that.
Yeah.
I hear all the accolades of how good he is and stuff. It's another big asset for the Canadiens.
Yeah, got a lot of potential moving forward here when he gets in here, whenever he decides to come. But
come out.
God, it's exciting, honestly. Jim, being here, I moved back in 2011. I saw the transition. Bergevin come in, and I saw what went on there. They end up going to the Stanley Cup final, which was, a team getting hot and having that hot goaltender and just everything falling into place. But you knew that was something different. That wasn't going to happen again. And this team needed to rebuild and start at the bottom, and they tore it down. And boy, the things they've done is just a lot of positive stuff here, and it's exciting to think this Hague coming, Demidov coming, and I say that because in that time when Bergeron was here, they didn't have anybody in the American Hockey League. I mean, who are some of these guys? I'm like, I think they have more guys, them older guys who are Korea AHL guys playing in Laval than they did young up and comers. They had drafted players, but boy, they really stockpiled the picks here and players and some good talent coming this way. So can't wait to see it all come to fruition.
Nux, you remember the day what the Montreal Canadiens stood for. Everybody went down that minors. They taught them the Montreal way before they come up.
Oh, yeah.
It was the Montreal way. Good players. They learned how to play the system, and they taught them all the way up. And I think Laval has some good players down there, too.
Yeah, they do. But it again, back in the day, it was you spent time down there. They had such a log. When you have such a good team up top, it's really hard to, especially back then, one or two guys, you're lucky to get called up during the year. Players.
Bring up. Go ahead, Chris. Sorry.
Players stayed with a team. You were with your team. You were there for. There's no free agency. There's no we're going here, we're going there. Play with the same guys for 6-7 years. Maybe one guy a year turning over. A
lot of times high draft picks are not ready, and you throw them into the fire, and they're ruined forever. You know what I mean? Their confidence gets shattered. Everybody's down on them, the fan, and they start feeling I'm the worst player. A lot of guys don't recover. So never heard anybody, playing there. But Montreal, I'm getting off the Habs talk after this. They loaded with talent and assets to do something down the line.
Well, it's a good thing. All right, next one in yellow. Did Xhekaj do okay by Chirping Reaves when they were ahead? I'm just going to tell you. If you want to chirp in the penalty box at each other. I just think when you're up 3-0, I know the coach probably doesn't want him to fight, and they told him, don't fight him, don't give him any life, blah, blah, blah. But for me, okay, you don't want to fight him, the coach doesn't want you to fight him, don't point at the scoreboard and don't go like this. Because it just pisses that whole team off, and it adds fuel to a bunch of guys who are already embarrassed, already down, and they got to get back into the game. And that sticks here. I'm not saying that's the only reason the Canadiens lost. No, they took penalties. They didn't play well defensively. They give up 2 short-handed goals. Come on, you can't do that. So it wasn't just what happened with Arber, but I wouldn't do that. I never chirp guys like that. If I had something to say, I'd say something to a guy's face, but I would never the scoreboard or, show up anybody. I'd fought a guy, let's go. And then if someone yap in the penalty box, we'd yap. But that's it.
You know what? I know one guy, like our guy's trying to get momentum change in Toronto. And,
Reaves.
Yeah, and Montreal is saying, hey, we're up 3-0. But the pointing up and all that stuff, that's added fuel to the fire.
Yeah, for sure.
Just
sure
like if you beat somebody, you don't raise your hands and none of that stuff. Because everybody, as you said, remember, everybody bleeds, everybody loses.
Yeah.
On or off the ice. Yeah.
And I love Arber Xhekaj. I got a
bobblehead.
Look at his bobblehead. I got his bobblehead on my desk. You kidding me? I love the kid. But I think that, pointing to the scoreboard and doing that. They always, back in the day, don't say stuff, don't say bad stuff about the other team. Because it'll be right up on the board when you come in the room and everybody says, oh, yeah?
Yeah. Same rules when you're on the street, too. You know that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody loses. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody loses. All right. We got a few more here in yellow. Yes. Hey, Chris, if you had to pick just one guy to keep, would it be Arber or Evans? Ooh, you hit me with this one. Evans. I think the center ice position is important. Certainly in the penalty kill. These two guys have been so good this year, right? And they're both like Arber's contract's up, and Evans is going to be a free agent. He can go where he wants, but I would say Evans again. Last night he was 81% in the faceoff dot. Like, he was incredible in a big game like that. He was awesome in the. He's got shorthanded, 3-4 shorthanded goals this year. He's 5-on-5 goals. Great penalty killer. Arber has come, and I love him. Yeah. He was a frustrating player to watch back here in the early years he was here, because he seemed like he was not involved. Last year they sent him a minus, sent his ass down, and he's sat down for a few games. He's in Laval, and then he ended up coming back. And now, man, 5-on-5, he's incredible. Great penalty killer. I would say Evans. I'd keep Evans as much as I love Arber. I would keep Evans.
Nux, on that point there, why wouldn't they keep both of them? Because I know the skills, the top 6, the top 9.
Yeah.
I have never seen a team win a Stanley Cup without 4 lines. Yeah. And you can't have the skilled guys. They don't know how to play that role. They want to be on the power play and all that. You know what I mean? And these guys know their role.
When guys are free agents, though, right?
Keeping them, they might sign
Yeah, that's the thing. They're able to go. So it'd be, you got to. That's the whole salary cap thing. How are we going to keep this guy? And then
guys know their role on that line. They're doing what they're doing. The shot hand, they're doing anything, block shots. Those are tough guys to keep.
The two of them, they're a pair on the penalty kill, and they're unbelievable together. Yeah. They've done really well. I mean, last night they gave up 2 shorties, but again, that's one game. They've been incredible this year. All right, in yellow. Any more? We got one more in yellow. Should the Habs sign Matthew? You know what? I love that kid, Olivier. I think he'd be the perfect Hab. He can play. Kid in Columbus. He's the fighter. He's tough as nails. I would love to see him here. I don't think they're going to let him go. Columbus knows what they have. They don't want to lose him, right? I would love to see him here, but...
Of course, he'd be a fan favorite. He can play the game. I'm sure Donnie Waddell and Columbus know what they have there.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about a team overachieving with the not overachieving, they're playing well with what they've gone through. Kudos to that Columbus Blue Jackets for what they lost and everything else to Johnny Gaudreau and his brother, God rest their souls, and the Gaudreau family.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Terrible. Still gives me chills when I even mention it.
Yeah, we got one more, Sammy. Give us that one. Chris, who's the most talented, tough guy you played with or against in your time? Me? No. So, who do you think the most talented, tough guy, Jimmy, from that time?
I'm going to say off the record. I'm going back to Clark Gillies.
Off the record? What do you mean?
No, like without thinking. Like, there was Rick Crockett, Brendan Shannon, Kim. I'm talking about Clark Gillies in a day. You know, he was tough and he was good.
Yeah. Bob
Nystrom.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys. The most talented, tough guy. I mean, Proby was right there. Really.
Yeah.
All-star. He could play the game. Clark Gillies for sure.
Can I add one guy?
That is a tough one. Go ahead.
Wendell Clark.
Wendell. Yeah, of course. Wendell.
I'll take him all day long.
He could score.
And
he
fight.
Was tough. He could fight. Certainly, he was one of the most talented.
Who did he start out with? What team?
Toronto.
No, I loved him as a player, and he's a good man, but tough. Here's a guy that was drafted as a defenseman. Yeah. First round, they moved him forward, and he does that. He was a defenseman drafted out of Saskatchewan Blades.
The most talented, tough guy, and you brought up, people always ask, who's the toughest guy? And I said, they're all tough. They're all tough. But honestly, for my money, Clark Gillies was probably one of the toughest guys to play the game back then. He didn't fight much, but when he fought, he hurt guys. Like he broke faces. He broke faces.
I seen a little thing about him, talking to him and Bob Nystrom talking.
God rest his soul, passed away. Yeah.
Bob Nystrom and him were talking. You know how some guys, for some reason, make it a challenge? Like you could beat the other guys that he loses to all the time. Clark Gillies had a thing with Ben Wilson, and Nystrom was in a room the night before the game talking about calling him out and stuff. Clark said, I had to get out of my thing. And he went out. And you know how tough Ben Wilson was. I know he had and Clark finally got out. But Clark Gillies, as tough as he was, still had that little nervous of Ben Wilson.
Yeah.
Some guys match up.
Ben had those eyes,
crazy eyes.
He had crazy eyes. Hello, anybody?
I just remember Gillies and to another guy we both love, Terry O'Reilly in the playoffs. Those fights. There's two warriors right there.
Right, O'Reilly had more cuts in his face. He'd come back out. He got stitched, right? Yep. And he came back out and he got ripped open again. Incredible.
Yeah, unbelievable.
So the most talented, tough guy. That's a real high one because look, Tocchet was really
I love Tocchet.
Right. Another talented, tough guy. When you talk about talent, what kind of numbers did they put up? Were they able to hang on to the puck, do all those things? Yeah, really, really good stuff. Jim, listen. I know you're gonna do some scouting today, so
day off today.
It is good.
Thank God.
I appreciate you taking the time again, and we stay in touch here. And I wish you well. Not so much the Leafs, you. That's it.
Hey, Nux, thank you. Thank you very much. Anytime you need me, and I'm happy for the Leafs, but
go Habs, go.
Yeah, go Leafs.
I'm not bailing on my team. I'm not bailing on my team.
I think there's a lot of fans.
I never will.
Back on the boat. They were diving off. They're coming back on. The old Red Sox fans.
All right, take care, my friend.
Take care, Knuckles. I love you, buddy.
Right. Love you. All right, Jimmy. God, I love him. A really good goal scorer as a pro, minor league pro. He went to Merrimack College, Jimmy. Grew up in Charlestown section of Boston, a really tough Irish neighborhood. And he got drafted by St. Louis, played down Peoria. He had 47 goals twice, almost 50. He had 47 goals in 60 games, 47 goals in 76 games, 91, 93 points. He had another 73-point season, 32 goals, 38 goals with the Providence Bruins. Phoenix Roadrunners, had a good career. Jimmy wasn't the fastest skater, but boy, he could shoot a puck. He could pick the corners, and just a good, really loyal, friend and just a great guy. So awesome to have him. Yeah, the Habs, here's what I'll tell you, and we'll end on this. The Habs have certainly an opportunity to jump right back at it tonight against the Rangers, sorry. And then this is a big week for them, right? Because everything is so tight. You cannot afford to let things slip. Last night, okay, that one game against the Leafs, they got to gather themselves now, wipe the blood off their faces, and get back at it, because this is a big week. You got the Rangers, you got Tampa, Red Wings, then the pesky Devils on next Saturday. So, but they could be right up in a playoff spot, or they could be right back down around the bottom. So these are important games coming up. They take them one at a time, and hopefully we see them do all the good things they were doing in this last month, and it pays off for them. So, yeah. Listen, thanks everybody for tuning in today. Appreciate it, like every Sunday, and we will see you next week.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Raw Knuckles with Chris Nilan on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.